A very good evening to the judges of Comex AI. I am Saanvi Yadav from Class 5C, Indian School Darsait, Oman, Muscat. At the topic of artificial intelligence, I'll be talking about satellite. A satellite is a moon, planet, or machine that orbits a planet or star. For example, Earth is a satellite because it orbits the Sun. Likewise, the Moon is a satellite because it orbits Earth. Usually, the word satellite refers to a machine that is launched into space and moves around Earth or another body in space. The satellite must be designed specifically to fulfill its role. There are 9 different types of satellites: communication satellites, remote sensing satellite, navigation satellite, LEO, MEO, HEO, GPS, GEOs, and ground satellite. Artificial satellites are used to study the Earth, other planets, to help communicate, and even to observe the distant universe. Satellites can even have people in them, like the International Space Station and the Space Shuttle. Satellites are used for a large number of purposes. Common types include military and civilian Earth observation satellites, communication satellites, navigation satellites, weather satellites, and research satellites. Space stations and human spacecraft in orbit are also satellites. Satellite orbits vary greatly depending on the purpose of the satellite and are classified in a number of ways. Astronomical satellites. Astronomical satellites are satellites used for observation of distant planets, galaxies, and other outer space objects. An astronomy satellite is basically a really big telescope floating in space. Because it is in orbit above the Earth, the satellite's vision is not clouded by the gases that make up the Earth's atmosphere, and its infrared imaging equipment is not confused and disturbed by the heat of Earth. Weather satellites. Weather satellites are primarily used to monitor Earth's weather and climate. Meteorological satellites see more than clouds and cloud systems. City lights, wildfires, effects of pollution, auroras, sand and dust storms, snow cover, ice mapping, boundaries of ocean currents, energy flow, etc. is being seen. Biosatellites. Biosatellites are designed to carry living organisms, generally for scientific experimentation. Biosatellites are designed to study the biological effects of weightlessness, cosmic radiation, and the absence of the Earth's 24-hour day-night rhythm on several plants and animals, ranging from a variety of microorganisms to a primate. Communication satellites. Communication satellites are satellites stationed in space for the purpose of telecommunications. Communication satellite is an artificial satellite that relays and amplifies telecommunications signals via a transponder. It creates a communication channel between a source transmitter and a receiver at different locations on Earth. Earth observation satellites are satellites intended for non military uses such as environmental monitoring, meteorology, mapmaking, etc. They are specifically designed for Earth's observation from orbit. Navigational satellites are satellites which use radio time signals transmitted to enable mobile receivers on the ground to determine the exact location. Navigation satellites are designed expressly to aid the navigation of sea and air traffic. Crewed spacecraft. Crewed spacecrafts or spaceships are large satellites able to put humans into an orbit and return them to Earth when needed. Spacecraft, including spaceplanes or reusable systems, have major propulsion or landing facilities. They can be used as transport to and from the orbital stations. Spacecraft carrying people may be operated directly by human crew, or it may be either remotely operated from ground stations on Earth or be autonomous, able to carry out a specific mission without no human involvement. Space station. Space stations are artificial orbital structures that are designed for human beings to live on in outer space. A space station is distinguished from other crewed spacecraft by its lack of major propulsion or landing facilities. Space stations are designed for medium term living in orbit, for periods of weeks, months, or even years. Today's space stations are research platforms used to study the effects of long term space flight on the human body as well as to provide platforms for greater number. Now, I would like to share a fact. China is about to launch the first section of a new space station, beginning a orbital construction project that is expected to end in 2022 with an outpost about a quarter of the size of International Space Station ISS. And now I would like to show my model of a satellite. The panels, the body of the satellite, the antenna. Thank you.